It's not 10 p.m., but it's 10 a.m. I had forgot to switch to a.m. when I set up the thing last night for the show. But hey, we could start early, so we're started early, guys. How y'all doing?
Daylight savings time.
Yeah.
Or non-daylight, standard time.
Yeah. Back to standard time, I like to call it. It's like standard time is only like 3 months, though. 4 months, whatever it is. It's like, a quarter of the year, maybe.
I say we change clocks 2 hours forward and just let it be dark in the morning all the time, and we have daylight till midnight.
There we go.
Because time doesn't matter anymore.
No, time is an illusion. So how's it going, Scott?
It's going good. Can't complain. Well, I could. There's a lot I could complain about right now, but
not going to. Don't matter.
Not going to. Doesn't matter. No, but in all seriousness, it's been a good week. Really enjoying Andor. Watched that this morning. We'll be talking about a little bit about the previous weeks there, but I really enjoyed it. Did you watch it?
I did. It was really good. I, of course, waking up still my normal timing when I try to sleep in, so I figure, well, I'm up. Might as well put on Andor, watch that, watch the first episode, Inside Man. We'll give a little non-spoiler review of that first episode. And
you also watched, you watched something. What did you
Nola Holmes. I watched that the other day. Yep. That's new.
We'll cover that.
It was good. I like Millie Bobby Brown. I think, once they wrap up Stranger Things, she's doing some other stuff. I think that down the road, she's going to be just really good, or she's going to flake out and
it's going to be one of the two extremes.
Yeah. Go Amanda Bynes on us. And
yes, it's going to be one of those two extures. Hopefully she does well.
Exactly. So we'll see. I hope she does well. I like her. She's a good actress. So
but let's get into our sponsors. Let's take care of that.
Well, I'll start off with Loringer Family Chiropractic Center, PC, located in Belleville, Michigan, and Dexter, Michigan. They take great pride in providing the finest chiropractic care to each and every patient, offering on-site digital x-rays, massage therapy, orthotics by foot levelers, young limb essential oils, aromatherapy, full line of vitamins, all in a family-oriented environment. Give them a call, 734-697-4244. You can find them on Facebook, where you can see all the services they have available right here. And of course is Larger Family Chiropractic Center PC at Larger Family Chiro. I think it's funny, it's got get rid of all the at whatevers on most of these places, and it's just Facebook being Facebook. They just change everything up to mess with all of us. So but definitely check out Larger Family Chiropractic Center PC.
Indeed. And also we got Team Titans Real Estate. Why? Because you matter. That's right. There we are there. Just want to give a quick update real estate wise. The market is shifting. I keep saying that, and it really is. I was talking to another agent who asked me to double check some numbers on her house on a listing she has, because it's not moving. And she's been advising a lower price, but the seller does not want to budge on their price. If you have a house that's above 500,000 right now, that market's taking a hit. Big drops. In one particular neighborhood I've been tracking, I'm seeing 17% drops in prices, and they're still not selling in that neighborhood. And they're very nice houses, very nice. Back a year ago, those houses were selling for $700,000. They're now in the 580s, 560 range, and not moving. So things are happening. Stop listening to your neighbors who are telling you, "Oh no, you're going to get 50,000 above asking." You're not. It's the only way that happens if you've put the time and money in to make sure everything's new, the roof, the furnace, you have granite counters, recessed lighting, brand new engineered flooring in your house. You got to spend a lot of money to make it top notch to be in the pricing war situation. If your house is very, very nice but average, it's not going to happen. It's not. So stop listening to those neighbors. We see the market. We see what's happening. A price drop is for this person to sell their house. They're really going to have to drop down to about 540, their current. And that's a big drop from what it was a year ago, but they're convinced. And sellers right now are their own worst enemy, because based on the projections we're seeing for upcoming interest rates, the longer you take to come to reality of what the houses are worth, the worse your value is going to be, the less you're going to get. So, you're going to want to talk to your real estate agent. Make sure you have an experienced agent. That's the other thing. Have they only had their license for the last 2 years? Because real estate agents who've only been around for 2 years, they don't know how to sell. They don't know how to market. All they know is it's like opening up a Chick-fil-A. As soon as you put out a for sale sign, people just lined up and threw offers at you. It's time for realtors to really work again and put the time in, the marketing. It's not easy. And that's where we're at now. So anyways, give us a call. 586-549-6096 is my number. 586-277-2145 is Jill's number. I put my number up in the comments there. Feel free to go there, check out our website, and we're here for you. You want experienced agents who understand markets when they're going up and when they're going down.
Yep.
Indeed.
Yeah. That little craziness we had after COVID started, that's long gone.
It is.
Everything's changing. I'm seeing it on all fronts. So
very much so. And if you're not happy with the election results and you want to move out of Michigan, give me a call. I will gladly list your house. And I can refer you to an agent in a state like North Dakota, Florida, Tennessee, Mississippi, Texas.
Or the reverse. If you're coming from another state to Michigan because you like what happened, Sent's got a call. He's happy to take your money too.
I will take all people's money, no matter what political party you're with.
Screw red, screw blue. It's all about green.
It's green. Green's the only
I'm wearing a red
now.
shirt. I'm wearing my Rad racing shirt today.
Oh yeah,
based on the movie Rad from the 80s.
Yep.
Crew Jones. Yeah.
Before we get into our main topics, I want to give a quick Kickstarter update, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
So we have our Kickstarter for Crimson Shadows. I just want to be fast. I don't want to get too in depth on this. We have 62 backers. You guys rock. We're at $3,084. 33 hours to go. We have time. We have a lot of people following this campaign who haven't taken part. So there is the potential for a large surge here during these last 33 hours where we could unlock all the stretch goals. 4 of the 8 stretch goals are currently unlocked. Here they are there. If we unlock all 8, that's $33 in free rewards for all orders of 25 or more. So that's a lot of value I'm throwing in there for all you guys. I really want to unlock them all. So let's get in there, share the links, tell people about it. Let's make a good push to cross the finish line here with 33 hours to go. So check it out.
Yeah.
And then one other Kickstarter update. Sorry,
go ahead.
I'll be fast. I promised him I would do it but he can't make it today. But we also have our good friend, Bob Hickey, and I want to give an update on his Kickstarter. It's called Hell Girl Demon Song #1. He's at $1,700, 61 backers. He hit the minimum goal, so he is funded. So go check him out. Do a search for Hell Girl and check out his project as well. He's a good friend of the show, so we like to help him out.
Definitely on that. So, yeah, we got a fun little topic. We're going to talk a few different things and bounce around a little bit. We'll get into some the changes in streaming service. This is going to be interesting again over the next year, and a lot of things we go into. We'll get into that towards later in the show. But let's cover a little insight, man. This is a quick one. We're not going to get detailed into the episode. We won't really talk in the first episode. There's 4 available. It is a BBC series. It aired earlier this month earlier October on BBC in England, and now for Netflix, it's here in the United States. Which I think is a great way to go. But Netflix has partnered up with BBC. We're going to see all the Doctor Who's popping up there. All the new Doctor Who stuff will be coming there next year when they do all that. So that's just part of that new partnership they have. Which, bringing that up is as we get into the streaming stuff, how things are going. There's a lot of partnerships going on and mergers and things like that that are changing up, again, the landscape of streaming and what you have and what you don't have and things like that. But Stephen Moffat, who I really liked from when he did Doctor Who, he's the one to help bring it back. He also was supposed to be working on the Tintin series with Spielberg and Peter Jackson. So I'm sure he did contribute that because he's a good writer all the way around. He's been around for quite a while, doing many different projects. But Doctor Who is my favorite stuff he's done, along with the Sherlock series. He did that, and the Dracula series that was on BBC, the 3 episodes that came out.
Really enjoyed that one too.
That was a lot of fun. So I watched this first episode this morning. I'd seen it pop up. Scott mentioned that he started watching it, and it was very well written. It's an interesting concept of
Yeah.
following the guy on the left, which is played by Stanley Tucci. He is a lawyer who has killed his wife, fully admits it, not a spoiler,
Yep.
and is
He's on
not
death row.
on death row and will not do appeals. He just says, "No, just kill me. I
Yep.
did it. I'm done." We don't know why he's in the first episode, why he just won't appeal. Because, I mean, everybody appeals.
Yeah, he says, "I don't want to die, but I deserve it."
Yeah.
Like he feels like he believes in justice or whatever. But the phrase, the tagline or phrase that he says that they use in the trailers and stuff is, "Anyone can be a murderer. You just need the right reason combined with a really bad day."
Exactly.
And David Tennant's character, he's a vicar. That's a priest in the Anglican Church. He's a vicar. He's kind of the living example of those circumstances colliding, having a bad day and other things happening.
Yes.
So it's interesting. You kind of go back and forth. There's two main storylines that unfold. And then I'm not done with this series yet, or season. I don't know if they're going to have more, but I'm really enjoying it so far and looking forward to when the storyline, I'm assuming at some point the storylines merge.
Yeah.
So looking forward to seeing where that goes. Stanley Tucci does an amazing job. He really keeps you captivated with his acting.
Mm-hmm.
David Tennant also does a great job. Not used to him dropping F-bombs and stuff, especially as a priest.
Well, and again, they're almost like, I guess the English version is similar to like the Lutheran, where they don't have they try to follow. There's similar rules on one side of like the Roman Catholic Church, but they've broken away from it, and they have their own rules. Like they're married, they have kids, they do different things like that. So
yeah,
so it's I don't know the full. I can get too much into that, but it's definitely not your normal church. Of course, anymore you watch TV, Catholic priests are swearing up a storm.
Yeah. But one indicator of how good the writing is the story itself is not a fast-paced story. It's pretty slow moving, but it feels like it goes by quickly because you're so captivated by the writing and the characters. It goes nicely and you're not bored, even though it's not like a high action type show.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's just credit to Moffat's writing.
Yes. And then Stanley Tucci, if you're not familiar with him, which I don't know how you can not at least know what he looks when you see him, who he is based on looks, he's got over 139 credits on IMDb here. Tons of movies. He's always been he's a great character actor. He's kind of led a few things, but really has always been more of the side character, but still having strong roles within those movies and that. So definitely look him up. I'm sure you're going to recognize a ton of stuff that he's done over the years.
For me, he's always Nathan Petrelli from the show Heroes. He was the brother to what's his name? He was in This Is Us. He was the dad who dies every episode because they have to keep reliving his death. But wasn't he a lawyer? But he had the power of flight and all that. But I really enjoyed Heroes. Was one of those shows, amazing show until the ending, and then it just crashed and burned. Actually, it was the time travel that ruined it. Once they put time travel in it.
You're getting your actors messed up. That was not.
I thought that was Nathan.
No, he was not in that at all. No, that was
what?
Adrian Pazdar.
What?
Yeah, you're in the wrong.
I've been living a lie.
Well, yeah, but that's besides the point.
Hold up a minute.
Yeah, I just pulled it up. I knew he wasn't in it.
Really?
He was in. One of the biggest things he was in was the Hunger Games. He played Caesar Flickerman, who was a flamboyant guy. He did that.
Okay. Put hair on Stanley Tucci. That's totally what he would look like.
Not at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Google I always thought that was him.
No, that guy's
my
actually
life
younger.
Is a lie.
Stanley Tucci's a little bit older. Just a little bit. Not,
but Heroes was out like 50 years ago.
No, it was out 15, and he would have been 47.
I am blown away that wasn't him.
Yeah, no, he's done a lot of great things though. A lot of good movies. been in TV shows. He was Dr. Abraham Erskine in Captain America: The First Avenger. Um, he
Oh,
was,
okay.
he was in a bunch of he does voiceover work as well.
Yeah.
He was on ER for a year. Uh,
He also
gosh,
just had a big bout with tongue cancer or throat cancer or something. There was an issue with his tongue
okay.
that they had to do with his. I don't think of someone else again.
Probably think of somebody else. You might
Um,
want to Google that first before you get into that. But yeah, if you go back and look at his stuff, a ton of good movies he's been in over the years, like
he
Billy
did have
Bathgate,
cancer.
The Public Eye. He was in the Pelican Brief. He's back in the '90s. Um,
He
and
was
he's been on different TV shows and things like that too. So definitely check him out. So
he had a tumor at the base of his tongue, and he had many months of high dose radiation and chemo. I believe he can't taste food anymore. I believe he lost his sense of taste.
man, you get into knowing some of these people way more than I care to.
Well, it was a big news story about a year ago, I want to say. Let's see, what's this? September 2021. Yeah,
Okay.
he was like on the cover of a bunch of magazines, and he couldn't talk for a while because of the way the treatment was, and I guess they cut out this big chunk of his tongue is
Oh,
missing,
okay.
which is interesting because he talks fine. You would think it would affect his speech.
Maybe they put a
Maybe it's in the
prosthetic in.
far back.
It's a prosthetic. It's
Yeah.
prosthetic tongue.
Well, he said base. Where's the base? Is that underneath or is that far back in the throat?
I'm not a doctor, so I
I don't know
cannot
where the base is.
confirm nor deny that. So now he was in also The Kingsman, the one that came out
Yes.
last year. He played the United States ambassador, stuff like that. So I'm just saying he's a good actor. He's got a
Yes.
lot of great stuff he's done over there. So go check it out. Check that show out. I think people would like it. It's definitely a BBC style series in terms of limited 4-ish episodes. They don't do stuff all the time where it's got to be ongoing constantly. And I personally have grown to really like that model a lot versus the American model of let's do 25 episodes a season and have over half of them just be fluff that nobody cares about. So that, because we've got to drag storylines out forever and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
but yeah. So, yeah, I like that one. I enjoyed that one. That was fun.
And
So
then
I'm
you
looking forward
also
to, I'll watch
watched
that story.
Enola Holmes.
Yeah. That's the new one with Millie Bobby Brown. You haven't watched that one yet, have you?
No, I saw season 1. I gotta admit, for season 1, I was okay with it. I
Oh, it was just a
enjoyed
movie.
it.
It wasn't even a season. It was just a movie. So
Was it? Well, it felt like a season.
I liked the first one.
I,
I enjoyed the first one. It was fun. It was a little different look into that. They've introduced, the Enola is the Holmes sister, and
Mhm.
the first movie they had, you meet her mom, Helena Bonham Carter, and then you had Sherlock, who's played by Henry Cavill, and then the first one they had Mycroft, who's the known brother of Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
Basically, what we've got going on within Enola Holmes too is she's decided to be a detective. Sherlock Holmes is the more famous, of course, and he's out there doing stuff, and she gets caught up in some things that basically she shouldn't have been caught up in the first place, but actually it's all based on real history that was taking place in London at that time. So I found that very fascinating that there
Yeah.
was some truth in what they were doing. So similar to Crimson Shadows, it was historical fiction using some actual facts of the case. And that's what we do in our Crimson Shadows case, or Crimson Shadows books.
Actually,
But
Crimson Shadows is the true history. The media has altered history to take Frankenstein and Dracula out of the history books.
yeah, and we have Sherlock Holmes in ours too. But yeah, and Henry
Henry
Cavill, I think
Cavill,
is great.
you can do a crossover into Crimson Shadows if you like.
Yeah, it was fun. Like I said, I enjoyed. It was, I thought, a little bit long at over 2 hours. It was 2 hours and 10 minutes. I think they could have trimmed it down some.
Yeah.
About an hour 45 would have been good. And that, but I think they're setting it up. I think for a third movie, they'll probably end up making it a trilogy. But there's also I wouldn't mind seeing a spin-off with just Henry Cavill as Sherlock.
Yeah, I really enjoyed his take on being Sherlock. He has a little more personality to it. Sometimes Sherlock Holmes can be a very dry character. So I really like his interpretation of Sherlock.
Yeah, and in these movies, Watson is not part of Sherlock's life at this time. So that's something to keep in mind too. So this is not the Sherlock and Watson, as things are ongoing. This is early on in his career before him and Watson partner up. So definitely check it out. It's on Netflix, and like when we talking about streaming stuff, there's a lot of streaming stuff out there. So
For sure.
yeah. So what else have you been doing?
Andor.
Yeah, we gotta do Andor, don't we? Yeah. Or well, cover a little bit. Andor's got we could probably cover up through this week. There's like almost 4 weeks now of the jail situation here. Um which I've been enjoying because what we're seeing is the character of Cassian Andor become more of this rebel leader.
Yeah.
So
And you're also seeing the brutality.
they probably want my car insurance to
They're covering more of the brutality of the Empire.
yes.
And what I find fascinating is this is a side of the Empire we've never seen. Like, how do they handle their prison systems? So we're seeing a side in the Star Wars universe. It's expanding that knowledge we have. So that's the part I've been really enjoying.
Yeah, well, one thing about this is interesting is, and I was thinking about this today, and I won't get into today's episode, but with the last three, everyone we see in this prison that we're dealing with is human. There isn't anybody that is of a different alien like we used to see in different things like that. So whatever's going on, they're only using humans in this particular prison for the work that's being done. And we're starting to learn that things aren't always what they seem. They've already hinted the last couple episodes prior to this week that time keeps getting added for no reason. They keep changing people's sentences. You know, I'm down to 300 days. All of a sudden they come in and are up to 700, and it's things like that. And we're seeing some communication between different levels within the prison as they're crossing through crosswalks from one area to the other. So, and basically, it's a forced labor camp.
Yeah. And so just like in real world labor camps, they develop modes of communication to kind of give gossip or news back and forth between the different cells. And with this one, as of the end of last week, the prisoners are realizing something is up, something's not right. And one of the levels suddenly kind of disappeared. So that's all they know. And the rumors are starting and people are wondering what to do. So it's been very interesting. I like how they're doing it. With this week's episode, they're definitely ramping things up as we move. What today was episode 10, right? So we got 2 more.
2 more weeks. It'll wrap up the Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
So they're definitely leading into what the grand finale is. The other thing they're covering really nicely, and this ties into the Rogue One movie, is in the Star Wars universe, we've made the Empire the bad guys and the Rebels the good guys, and they're really nicely defined black and white as far as good and bad.
Yeah.
And here you're seeing that to achieve those means, though, the good guys have to sometimes be very bad. And they're showing the dirtier side of the rebellion as well, which I think is really interesting to see.
Yeah, I've been enjoying that. It's what we get through the movies is in the Skywalker saga is just that. It's following basically Luke Skywalker and the Rebels, and this is at the main core of what's going on. I like that these series are kind of fleshing out, and it's been going on since the Clone Wars and Rebels, stuff like that. We're fleshing out all the side stories that we didn't see through the movies that really are enriching and adding a lot more to the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
And they're not just telling stories because we have to have a new action figure. This is the 80s where every week on He-Man was a new action figure, and it came out the following week in the stores. I'm talking to you, Skunkor. But it's I'm liking that part about it. I'm like, and I've seen some people complain a little bit about, oh, it's dragging, it's not this, and they'll be like, it's the best Star Wars ever. I think it's going to be depending on how you want to view it. And the beauty of Andor is we know it's 2 seasons, 12 episodes each. They want it to have this depth-rich story within it that's not going to be rushed. It's not going to be fast. I mean, the first 6 episodes we were looking at were the initial heist that now gotten us to this next 6 episodes, which we're starting to get in towards the end of this prison part that's set in, but they're also on the outside. Things are going on. One is the Empire doesn't realize they have Cassian Andor in their prison because they're looking for them. Number 2 is you've got like the Rebels. We've got Mon Mothma and all those are trying to move money around, trying to find how to fund the rebellion to go against the Empire. And we saw last week Mon Mothma at the Senate, and a lot of the Senate places were shutting down their lights that weren't even participating in the debates anymore. We're
Mhm.
starting to see what basically will happen in the beginning of episode 4, New Hope, is the dissolution of the Senate. It's happening on its own
Yeah.
as more and more systems are either completely wiped out when overtaken with governors, or themselves just handing everything right over to Palpatine, the Emperor, and the
Yeah.
Empire. So
Actually, in last week's episode too, episode also, I should say, one of the older inmates, he has a stroke. And so the doctor that comes actually relays the information to Andor and uh, what I forget his name, Smeagol.
yeah, is
And
Caden or
he's
something like
Circus,
that.
but I forget it. Yeah, Caden, something like that.
Yeah,
Anyways, that doctor relays to him, we're never getting out. The Empire is killing off. You're either being, he relays the message, what happened on the other level, which was a prisoner had gotten released. He served his time, and they accidentally released him into the same facility again. So what they realize is prisoners aren't getting released; they're just getting moved to another prison to serve more time over and over until you die. So there is no release date
right.
set, and
Yeah,
people are
and
getting in prison for the smallest little infractions now.
well, it's like his was, he could give no defense, and they were like, "Well, you 6 years." He's like, "6 years for what?" He's like, he didn't really do anything,
I'm a
and
tourist.
that's, yeah, that was his whole thing. He was a tourist, and that's been the thing. It's like, okay, what did he do? And there were some people running. We don't even know why they were running,
Yeah,
other
you were
than,
running. You're guilty.
yeah. So it's just you know kind of the way it is in this
Yeah.
world right now. But yeah, it's showing that the Empire has no respect for people, which we know the Emperor doesn't. The Emperor is truly about unlimited power, as he likes to scream.
Well, and at this point, too, the other part that's going on behind the scenes is
Mhm.
they're probably beginning the construction of the Death Star or in the middle of it.
Well, it
So they
should
need a
be.
lot of labor because we're 5 years before Rogue One right now.
Yeah, but this point would have been it's already
4 years.
started. They'd already been working on it because they went and got, at the beginning of Rogue One, uh Jyn Erso's dad, and basically recaptured him again. And at
Right.
that point, she was probably 8, and it was another 10 years went
Right.
by. So we are 5 years into from him already working on the Death Star. So at this point,
Yeah, it's at some stage of construction right
probably
now.
at like half to 2/3
Right.
complete at this point.
So you need a lot of bodies
Yeah.
to build all that. I'm enjoying it. I'm looking forward to season 2. This is saying season 2 begins filming this month.
Hmm.
So sometime in November, they're supposed to start filming. So, here it is, November 21st. So I'm looking forward to it. I want to see how it connects. I really love the Rogue One movie and can't wait to see how this all goes.
Yeah, and that's gonna be interesting to see on all that. So I like it. I'm really. I know
Mhm.
Scott and I were talking about what they're building, and it's you bring up about the Death Star, and we were thinking it was part of the TIE
The TIE
fighters,
fighter.
and it could be, but it could also be something within the Death Star itself.
Yeah, this is what I think it is here. Let me zoom in here.
Mhm.
Um, let me share this. And I could be wrong. I mean, it's just like a cross section thing that they're building. But in this, let me zoom. Okay, it's hard to see. Here we go. I think it's this piece in here where there's like this little cross section piece. I think that's what they're building, but that's just a guess on my part.
Yeah, they've not said at all.
Yeah, I mean, it could be anything. I'm trying to, but I could see them ramping up TIE fighter production and needing parts for it. Just like with us, World War II, everyone had to go to work for the
Mhm.
airplane companies, start building airplane parts. So,
Well, yeah,
so who
and of
knows?
course they got rid of the clones and everything. That's what they were still ramping up stuff. Now, one speculation is it could be probe droids. Um,
Hmm.
I personally didn't think that looked like it'd be part of the probe droid, but it could be.
Yeah,
That could be like the base that the legs come off of.
yeah,
I mean, they're all building like a part.
yeah.
So
Could just be a generic connector that's used in all forms of construction. Who knows?
Yeah.
They haven't said, so
Yeah, it's a widget. Basically is
it's a
all it is right
widget.
now. So
Yeah, sprockets,
yeah,
spacely sprockets.
sprockets. Yeah. Yeah. So and Andy Serkis plays Kino Loy's his name. He's kind of the head of the floor they're on. So and he's been
Kinlo.
there. Yeah, and he's been a long time. And he was. They mentioned at one point he had a couple 100 days, and something got added to it. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so interesting.
Definitely watch this week's episode. It's good. The action's picking up, and they're definitely I think they're heading towards a really fun finale here.
Yeah. 2 more episodes, and be interested to see what happens there. So
For sure.
So we got some changes going on in
world of streaming.
Yeah, HBO of course has been bought out by Discovery Plus. Basically, Discovery Plus bought Warner Brothers, and they are merging all their stuff. And we've been seeing stuff like they canceled the Batgirl movie. They canceled the Scoob sequel, which I just saw this morning. The production team actually finished, which means they allowed it to render out. Now they keep saying that it'll never see the light of day. It's never going to come out. Stuff like that. I wouldn't be surprised if that doesn't eventually get released, but a year or two down the road, once everything settles down. The problem with and this has happened long before the streaming stuff, is when you get new people in charge of any production company or any of these studios, if their name wasn't initially attached to it, they're not getting paid on the back end. So they start shelving stuff. And, for a merger, which they just spent billions doing, shelving these projects, people go, well, that's a waste of money. Well, look at the write-off, the potential of what it would have been valued at through distribution and everything else. So in the long run, it actually does make the company money because they get to write off all their taxes. So, and that's what I think we're seeing with a lot of these cancellations of different shows series. They just canceled Westworld unexpectedly on HBO. They were expecting one more season out of that. So, but yeah, so what we're going to see is, and I was telling Scott this last night, is HBO Max is going away. Not directly. I think what we're going to see is the same thing to do with HBO Go. The HBO Go app was upgraded to the HBO Max app. And they were promoting that. And that's, of course, when HBO was owned by Warner Brothers, which originally was Time Warner. And then, AOL Warner was in that. Because Warner Brothers keeps getting sold left and right, it seems like, anymore.
Yeah, it's amazing what's been going on.
But yeah, it's going to be, they announced last week that they're moving the changes in the app up to spring instead of summer. Personally, all I'm seeing is it's going to change probably the way the app looks a little bit, because they always change the way it looks. They always redesign it. And they're adding all the Discovery stuff in, which is all the HGTVs, Food Networks, all the other stuff that they owned prior to buying HBO, Cinemax, and Warner Brothers.
Speaking of Warner Brothers, did you see the article came out 6 days ago? Warner Brothers / Discovery announced $2.3 billion loss. Mm-hmm. Like, that's huge.
Yeah, and that's, I think that's part of the reason we're seeing the cancellation of some of this stuff, because they know they can start offsetting those losses. In that, but it's like right here, Warner Brothers Discovery incurred up to $4.3 billion in restructuring. Again, that's $2.5 billion in content write-offs. So I mean, that's just a huge thing. I mean, there's some things that are going to continue on. I think it's also why we saw Shazam get moved from Christmas to March. I think it is.
They want those profits for that year.
Yep, they want them in that quarter, as well as the fact that I think they'll have a better chance at the box office than coming out at Christmas time, because there's things coming out at Christmas they're all watching going, okay, Avatar's coming out. It's probably going to have a huge opening. If it sucks, it'll die fast. Things like that. So it's definitely going to be an interesting thing. But I think also what we're seeing, this is what's talking Scott about, is as they're changing the landscape of people that have cut the cord, as they like to say. They got rid of cable and they're going this way. I think we're starting to see more and more of the merger of different groups, to where you're not going to have 25 different streaming things. You can just pick and choose whatever you want, whenever. You're going to have 5. There'll be a lot of little small ones, but 5 major ones as they're combining everything together. I mean, look at Paramount Plus as a combination of CBS and
Right.
Paramount and Viacom. So there's a lot of properties there.
Yeah.
Now you
Peacock
get
for NBC and
and that's Universal.
mhm,
Comcast owns them.
mhm.
So that right there is that hub of entertainment. Then you have Disney, which is also ABC, as well as everything else they own television wise, and then into the different properties within movies and stuff like that. Um, so I mean, right there, you got your heavy hitters. Basically, it's all the networks were biding their time and then started buying up stuff. And now we're
Mhm.
going to be going back to here's your network TV again, which is your basic, which is ABC, NBC, CBS. That's your basic network stuff that has always been followed. Fox, of course, now which is owned by Disney, which is now we basically want to say is part of ABC, is no longer that fourth network.
Right.
They'll be offshoot a little bit, but yeah, it's
But
now
what's
it's going to be all this stuff, and they're all
right,
starting to introduce ad supported streaming services.
that you can pay for.
Yes.
But what's interesting is now the free networks that we grew up as always being free, we're going to have subscriptions for. But
Yep.
what's given rise to are these free channels. There's a
Yes.
ton of free ones coming up this year. I'm going to post this just where, with inflation and everything else, people's budgets are tight. This is a link to this Tom's Guide. He gives a list of the best free streaming services for 2022. So we got Freevee. I see those. And this also has links, so you can check it out. It gives you the pros and cons of the different ones. Peacock is going to a pay subscription, though, aren't they?
No, Peacock has two. They have a free one. Now, the free one
Okay.
gets you limited access to their broadcast stuff, a few movies, a few series, things like that. The pay service gets you everything they offer, which
Everything.
includes the stuff they bring from the theaters to their streaming first. So there is a free version of Peacock,
Okay.
and allows you basically to watch the network stuff and do a couple of network things with it. It's okay. I had it for a long time. I recently just got Peacock paid, but I did it for a year, and it was like $20 for the full year.
Yeah.
It'll go up to $50 if I choose to keep it next year. But there were some things I was like, well, I want to watch this for $20. I'll give this a try, see if it's worth keeping. There's a lot of good stuff on that because it's Universal, like Halloween
You get the
time.
monster stuff.
All the Universal monster movies. So
Yep.
they have all those franchises as they're really starting to showcase what they have that Peacock owns through like Universal and NBC, and I forget all the other stuff they own. And that it's definitely shows they have a lot of content. I mean, you can see a little bit listed there, like 30 Rock Battlestar Galactica, Cheers, a lot of classic series, as well as some current stuff. So it gives you a mix, and even they're paid if you want just month to month. Right now, it's $5. That will change.
The next one is Pluto TV. That's owned by Viacom. So that gives you a bunch of stuff. So this is just something, if you want to check it out. Roku has their own channel.
Yep.
Also,
now keep in mind, all the ones do what's called ads. So some will do like if it's a movie, you'll get like 5 minutes of ads prior to the movie starting. That's how it pays for you to watch that movie for free.
Right.
And you can't fast forward through the ads. You have to watch. You have to let them play through. It doesn't mean you have to sit there and watch them. You can go to the bathroom. That's usually what I do.
Yep.
And then TV series stuff, just like on YouTube, it'll interrupt you at different points for like a commercial break. So that's the option there. And I think Scott, your Paramount Plus you have through I get that through your Prime, don't you?
Amazon Prime. I pay for it, but
you pay for the lesser one, which includes the ads.
Yes. So it's like $5 or $8 a month or something like that.
That's how I have Hulu, which I get Hulu as part of the Disney Plus bundle, and I get that included in my cell phone bill. And it is actually free because actually my cell phone bill dropped, I think $5 a month when I signed up for the plan that included that. And I was spending already $15 a month for that, so I saved $20.
Yeah.
By switching over to that. So I mean, that's the other thing to look at too is how can you get streaming stuff for free?
Yeah. Here's Tubi. This is another one.
Yeah, and there's a lot of great free ones. I use Tubi. They put a lot of stuff. Crackle's been around for a long time.
Yep, Crackle.
And they sometimes have their own stuff. Vudu now. Vudu is you can tie that into your movies anywhere, and allows you to if you have movies you've purchased through different sources like Amazon Prime, Vudu itself, iTunes, things like that are part of the movies anywhere. Disney's part of that. Then you can actually have all your stuff in one location. I use Vudu for that for myself.
If you have those old DVD copies with the free digital code, you can type your code in and get your digital version that you bought way back when.
And that's what I still do. Is
Yep.
I still buy. If I shared this the other week, but just because it's sitting right here, I can still show you. Part of the reason I've got like Real Genius is one is I had some stuff on the discs I wanted. I wanted the physical disc. I want to own the physical copy still, because I don't want to always trust that the internet will have what I want or always stay there. But it came with a free digital code.
Yeah.
So I have all my digital codes up there. I bought another one. Yeah. I picked up Maverick, and I got it on, actually it's on the 4K, which will play through my Xbox, but it's came with the free digital code. So I stream most of the time with that stuff, but then if it's acting up, internet's down, or the hackers decide to mess with stuff, I can whip out the DVD or Blu-ray and watch what I want.
Nice. If you like live news and sports, Zumo is one. And just seeing what else. I think that's the end. So that's the end.
Yeah. But with all those free ones, I've looked at most of those, and you can definitely, get a lot of content by only paying for your internet and not having to pay for actual cable.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are doing that. I stream most. I watch very few regular TV shows. We still have cable because we like the sports side of it. Because if you really want to get the full sports aspect, you got to pay for it. That's where like Sling TV and stuff like that. So, I mean, saving money by cutting the cable, as they like to say, isn't always, I said this years ago, isn't always going to be what you think it's going to be. Because if you want to get the content you like, you're going to, even with just, a la carting it, it's going to add up.
Like we mentioned this, I think it was last week. Try it out. Go on something like HBO Max. Go to sign in and say sign in with your provider. You might be paying for access without even knowing it. Like I get it for free through my AT&T bill. I just go in there, I select what package I have, my carrier, then it sends me a code or whatever, and I'm in. So check it out.
If you have Comcast, you can get the Peacock for free.
Right.
So there's that. So they've all got something. And even within cell phones, I like my Verizon. Verizon has a deal with Disney, so I get the Disney bundle. I know through T-Mobile, they do, I think, Apple TV right now. You can get that free with getting an iPhone. And then I forget what the other ones have. But yeah, there's been different ones over the years. So definitely.
It's definitely made it harder to follow really good shows, though, because there's so many streaming services now. Like before, it was either on Netflix or on cable. Like, Walking Dead was AMC. Everyone had access to that. Yeah. Netflix, everyone had Netflix. Well, now there's so many different things. Like, oh, I'm watching this great show on Apple TV. How many people have Apple TV? There are a good number, but there's a good number who don't. So
and there's a lot that come and go. And proof of that is the YouTube Red was their own streaming service. That failed miserably. Hardly anybody got it. But it did bring one good series out, Cobra Kai. That was, they put about, hoping people would jump over on that for Cobra Kai. But people are like, well, I'm not going to spend the money they want for their service. Because YouTube was already starting to take people off by I was watching it last night because there's some different little programs, people uploading stuff. And it's like every 4 minutes is an ad. And it's, and it cops constantly popping up no matter what you do. It's like, God, this gets ridiculous.
Did they disband YouTube Red, or is it still there? Just no one uses
believe it's gone. They still have YouTube Live. Now, YouTube Live is like Sling TV and all that stuff where you can get actual regular TV. But I believe YouTube Red is gone. YouTube Premium replaced that. And I believe the YouTube Premium is you get ad-free videos, you get the YouTube Originals, offline downloads, and then you get the entire YouTube Music Premium experience. So that replaced the YouTube Red. So they're not trying to advertise as like a Netflix type thing. They're doing a whole bundle of this is everything we have. Yeah. And I don't know for sure, looking here real quick, but I'm sure that it's probably tied into their YouTube TV as well. I know... I think YouTube TV is what Dominic used, and he liked it because they had like unlimited DVRing of the programs.
Right.
So if he liked stuff, he could just set it to record it and then watch it whenever.
Well, and then the real competition for all these networks is all the free content that something like TikTok has. The younger generation, if they're under 20, they're not even watching TV. Like, if we have the TV on, it's on. But they're not watching it. They're looking at they're doing Snapchat, they're doing TikTok. Be Real is the new one. There's all these different ones they're doing, but they're not watching the TV.
No.
So as an advertiser, which ultimately pays for the entertainment, where do you go? Where do you go next? And I think that's part of the rise of the pay for TV stuff that we're seeing is people don't advertisers, I think, no, a lot of people aren't watching them.
Yeah.
And so there's less money coming from that, and meaning more money has to come from us, the viewer.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, and that's kind of where we're seeing things go again. I mean, that's what's happening with stuff. So it's the landscape's changing. It's always going to change. We're going to see more mergers next year. I didn't realize until Discovery was buying HBO and Warner Bros. How much money they had, how powerful they were. I was like, wow, I didn't realize they had really
Yeah.
got they. But when you look at look at everything they have network wise, you may think, oh, that's nothing, but it they do so much of the lower cost shows, basically reality style shows,
Mm-hmm.
that I think they were able to bank a lot of money on that because they have, I mean, Food Network, people talk all the time, oh, yeah, I watch all these baking championships, stuff like that. The only thing I like Food Network is either like a diners, drive-ins, and dives where there's actually going to places I want to go to, or actual chefs cooking. I don't really care for the cooking challenges or, we're going to build stuff like that. That to me, but a lot of people like that stuff. And I think it's where they really
Mm-hmm.
made their money.
Yeah.
And probably just, Shark Week too.
Yep. Good old
But
Shark Week.
yeah, but yeah, it's Discovery has just tons of content, and I was surprised that they had so much on that they were able to become this powerhouse.
Is that where Chip and Joanna Gaines are now?
Yeah, well, they are
Discovery?
they their
They're the
own
Magnolia Network.
right. They were HDTV, and then which is owned by Discovery, and then they have the Magnolia Network, which is also part of Discovery. So
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
yeah, so I don't think they actually own. They probably own Magnolia, but Discovery has the exclusive rights to do everything with that. So
Yeah, like distribution or whatever.
yeah, and I had the Discovery app for a year because I got it free through Verizon. I watched it like twice. I really didn't care.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked some of the Food Network stuff. It was nice to like, oh, I can go back and watch these shows. They don't air anymore, like Guy's Big Bite when he actually did cook and had recipes and things like that. And I've used several ones from all these different ones. Right now, you get a few of them on there. Like Valerie Bertinelli still got hers. Trisha Yearwood's got hers. Ree Drummond does the Prairie one, and that. And there's a few others I really don't care for, but I like a lot of those actual chefs that became the celebrity chefs because they actually did real recipes that you could actually do in your home, and it wasn't too crazy. So
Yeah.
but so I mean that's the interesting things that's happening with that is the merger. It's like and I think what I do find interesting, and I don't know what Scott's thought is everything always comes up. It's a Netflix killer. I don't think it is. Netflix
No.
has been losing money. You can't really say they have lost money and losing subscribers, but then they ebb and flow based on what's on, and that's because there's a lot of people that will sign up month to month, and then when they're done watching what it is, they cancel it, and then wait till there's something else they want to watch, and they bounce around. I know people that do that quite a bit. I watch enough on certain ones like Netflix and that I'm willing to pay for that. So
Yeah, for sure. Like Showtime. I had that because of Dexter. I was recently going through all my credit card bills, trying to find where I could cut, looking at all my automatic bills, because it's very easy with how things are auto charged to forget what you cover. I'm like,
yeah.
oh, I still pay for Showtime. Gotta get rid of that. But I don't know. What's your projection for 5 years from now? What do you see the landscape of TV looking like?
Well, it's going to when I was in early production classes and stuff like that in the 90s, we talked about how things were going to change on the home TV. At the time, cable was around, of course, and cable was maybe 75 or 80 channels, and they were slowly adding more. The next step was the 500 channels. You'd have a million, which we have now. And then was the on demand. That was always being talked about. You're going to be able to watch anything you want on demand. Well, cable really itself can't handle it through a cable box. They can only do so much. And that's where the internet with storage and cloud service and all that stuff has allowed that to happen. But they've always, of course, back in the 90s, the professors that were like, just be able to pop something up and you'll see everything. Well, I knew that was never going to happen because different people own different stuff.
Right.
So we're seeing the mergers, stuff like that. We're now in this point of where they were in the 90s with cell phones of going from tons of cell phone providers to eventually we'll have 5. And
Which
that's
is
what we're seeing this.
interesting. Even on that, the ebb and flow. Now you're seeing smaller cell phone companies pop up, like Mint, owned by Ryan Reynolds. You'll see ads from them, and so now you're starting to see other alternatives pop up again too.
Now,
So
here's those when you talk in the cell phone realm. When you get like a Mint, Cricket, there's
yeah,
several other ones you can still buy cards for, the Walmart or something like that. They piggyback on all the other services. They don't actually own towers, so they are a reseller of airtime, basically.
so they're
So
kind of like the gas, like when you get calls from the company, like, "Hey, we can sell you your natural gas cheaper, even though you're still using the same gas. The provider is the same." They're
correct.
okay.
Yeah, same thing. Electricity. When you see people, they say can save you money or whatever by switching to
Yeah,
them. They're basically buying it and reselling it, and nothing changes on your end except for who you pay the bill to. But that's also what we'll see in the media thing. So this free stuff will still be around. It's going to become more and more ad heavy as they have to pay for content because they
right,
still pay for it. All these ones that say free, they're not getting for
right,
free. They're paying for it. That's why you'll see a movie pop up and it's gone in a few months and
right.
it's just not there. Um,
I just think it's so funny. We're going to be back to the 1980s where everything had ads. We all went to cable to get away from ads,
yeah.
and now we're all going to be back to it, but paying for it.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. And that's why I tell people it's also what I think is the streaming has been doing its best to kill the home video market. I still buy
Mhm.
what I can. If you got a TV series you like, if it comes out on DVD or Blu-ray, buy it when it comes out. Don't wait for it to go on sale because by the time you look for it cheap, it's already gone because they're only making so many. Um, so I have my library of stuff, and that's where I
Mhm.
trust my things as is the physical library. But they're doing everything we can to get rid of that. And even to the point of we're seeing more and more products that say, hey, you can play your video games and do this, but there's no disc slots, things like that. Even computers, laptops, a lot of them are not even coming with a CD-ROM anymore.
Right.
So you have to buy that separate. Um, but I think that's what we're going to see. We're going to see, the major players. They're pretty much almost all set up right now. And it still centers around the network slash studios and how they work. I mean, it's you got, you look at how the studio mergers happen. You had like Sony as a studio came up, and then they started buying Columbia TriStar and everything else. Um, and there may be some that may not get into the streaming market. They will partner with other ones, and then we'll see those partnerships change. And that's always the way it's been, even on cable, was different groups and organizations. Like HBO would have something that Stars didn't have. Star would have something that HBO couldn't have, and it was all different studios. And some were even the same studios; they just had different divisions that they sold to. So,
Mhm.
but I think that's something that we're going to see, and it's just not going to change much. But like I said, I pull up Sony here. It's like they have their studios, they have their studio lot, they still do a lot of productions. Then they have different offshoots, they have their post production facilities, things like that. But Sony outside of PlayStation isn't doing a streaming, but they're focusing on that type of market with the gaming, knowing they can partner up for their movies and stuff with all the other streaming channels to get their content through there. And they're just trying to get everybody to buy a PlayStation to stream it.
Right.
So they've come in a different direction than that. So, but I think it's what it's going to be. It's going to be an interesting landscape in 5 years. It'll change again. I would not be surprised to eventually see Netflix if they aren't able to compete as well with like a Warner Brothers, Discovery, Warner Brothers, the Disney conglomerate, even Universal, as they're all building up more. We could see with them get absorbed. I mean, Amazon's doing what they can, but Amazon's put a lot of money in. They send that Lord of the Rings series. I know they got a lot more stuff coming out. So if that's not panning out for them, what's going to happen with Amazon Prime? Because that's another streaming service, and I get that free technically. I pay a year for it, but I get it because I want the other benefits I get from Amazon, probably a little bit more than I do the streaming.
That's the part I don't understand about the Amazon model. Like,
Mhm.
so I pay $100 a year. I get way more than $100 worth of free shipping
Yeah.
throughout the year. How does that A, pay for my shipping, and B, give them enough money to produce $500 million studio? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. They gotta be losing money on the shipping big time.
Well, I mean, they've built their own infrastructure, so that's a lot of it. Number two is we only see what's here in the United States. A lot of their content gets sold to the distribution that's in Europe and Asia through those channels. Those are different channels than they are here.
Okay.
So, that's where they make their money as well. That's why Netflix having Inside Man, they're paying BBC for that. Well, BBC is not just sending it over for free, they're getting paid for it. And if I in the reverse the same thing, Netflix creates series that they send over to, I think it was they have it's not Skynet, though I always want to
Right.
say Skynet with the UK, like Sky TV or something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
But like I understand it with Netflix because I'm paying for that service.
right.
Amazon Prime, I'm paying for free shipping too. And somehow I'm getting the product cheaper than the store, faster than going to the store, and with no shipping cost to me. Like I'm using way more than $100 worth of value in a year.
Well,
It
and
seems like a
that's
loss.
yeah, well, because you're only looking at it from your perspective.
Yeah.
If you look at it from the broad perspective, there are a lot of people. People are using it more during the lockdowns than they are now, because Amazon even said they've scaled back on
Okay.
building their distribution centers because they're not getting as much. But there's a lot of people that are spending $130 a year for that Prime service now that
Mhm.
aren't fully using any of the products on it. They might get
Okay.
something once or twice a month shipped for free. They're not really watching the streaming. They're not taking advantage of the music, which they've added more music to now. Things like that. So that's really what it is there's so many different ways around that. Plus, even on Prime, even though it's not during your program, ads pop up. Studios pay for ads to pop up about their program that's going to be on there.
Sure.
So there's a lot of money being changed hand all over. And I said, and that's just here in the States. I mean, you go and look overseas, and there is different streaming services overseas. Netflix has their own over there, stuff like that, and they're all treated as into different divisions. So I mean, it's just way of looking at that is almost selling to themselves in a lot of ways, but they're all set up as independent corporations, those companies, to get those tax breaks or anything available in those countries and that. So, but yeah, I think it's just I think it seems like a little like how does my $100 a year pay for all that? Well, times that by 100 million people, and that's just the start of it. Not
Yeah.
including, and then of course their purchasing power is very high, so they're able to buy stuff in a larger bulk. And then not everything that's being sold on there is sold through them. They may handle the distribution of it and they keep a percentage of the sale, but there's a lot of resellers on Amazon.
Right.
So,
Well, be interesting to see where things go. And but I think the rise of the free streaming services are also we got a number to choose from. I know I'm definitely going to start checking those out a lot more. I think the Freebie is what I think I've been watching the Vincent Price movies on during this time.
Yeah, and there's a lot of great ones out there. You just have to remember you're going to have ads. They'll do commercials. Sometimes if it's they might do it during the movies. I know Vudu. I don't like watching Vudu's free with ads because they go to commercial every like 5 minutes, and it's annoying. So I'm trying to watch a movie, and it's like, and they do it at odd times, so it doesn't actually just like a good break.
That's the problem with the ads. The old networks, there was a planned break, so it would be at the proper time in the storytelling. On streaming, it just right in the middle of a sentence, it switches over to an ad,
and it comes back. You miss like half a sentence. So
yeah,
so it's something to keep in mind. You for free, just because it's free doesn't mean it's great. But at the same time, if that's what you're looking to save a little money, there's a lot of great stuff out there. Go for it,
for sure.
And then, or you steal somebody else's codes. So, hey, I won't be here next week. So join Scott next week. He's gonna do some really cool stuff. Around all our things,
something art related. In the meantime, don't forget we have our Kickstarter going. I just posted the tabs again, so go over there, share the links, show some love. 33 hours to go. Let's get it done.
Yeah, it'd be great to see us hit like $4,000 and 100 followers on that one. So
yeah, that's the goal.
But hey, so join Scott next week, and then him and I will be back 2 weeks after next week. We're gonna take the week of Thanksgiving off. You guys enjoy your Thanksgiving. I will see you guys afterwards. See ya.